Hey there, and welcome back at long last to another Miraculous Ladybug Season 5 review. And my god, this has been a long time coming, eh? Seriously, it's pretty wild that we've had Season 5 released so close to the end of Season 4, and then after 2 episodes we get hit with that patented Miraculous Ladybug radio silence. But now, none of that matters, because Miraculous is back, baby! Episode 3, Destruction, is here. And it was actually pretty good. Once again. Whilst their scheduling does leave a lot to be desired, the actual episode content these days, the story, the scripting, it's come along leaps and bounds. And so Season 5 is really shaping up quite nicely. And so with all that being said, let's jump into the episode, shall we? So we start off the episode in Marinette's bedroom, which, well, yeah, that's pretty much where every episode starts off since the start of Season 4. And of course, she still has that deeply cringy custom background for her desktop, which, well, yeah, that's an experience. But anyway, she's sitting in front of her computer with a purpose. She's trying to watch a video on the Lady Blog, featuring Alia talking about the latest developments in terms of Monarch stealing all of the Miraculouses, and then telling Ladybug and Cat Noir to be careful. But her attempts to watch the video keep getting stifled by Alia herself, who seems to be over at hers for a sleepover, and who is clearly trying to keep Marinette from wallowing in self-pity. So yeah, Alia continues to be Marinette's emotional support animal. She really is the team's MVP these days. And then it's off to Gabe's lair, where he continues his time-honoured tradition of monologuing in front of the fridge that he keeps his wife's corpse in. Talking about how this time he's gonna definitely get that pesky ladybug. Poor Cat Noir. Not even the main villain respects him as an equal half of the team. But anyway, in the break between seasons, it seems that Gabe has asked the writers to put a few wrinkles in his grey matter, as he's tired of being relentlessly mocked for being a smooth brain, and so he tries to use the Kwamis this time to bamboozle Ladybug and find out who she is. First, ordering the rooster to give him the power of time travel, which fails, so that's bad luck, because the rooster is unable to give him a power from another Kwami. And then Gabe is quite quickly driven to insanity by the antics of the monkey Kwami, who clearly thinks that Gabe is indeed still a smooth brain, and thus explains concepts in very great and yet simple detail, trying to ensure that even silly old Gabe is able to comprehend everything. Imagine getting talked down to by a tiny floating monkey who's technically your slave, and who implies you're an idiot. That's gotta sting. It was so deeply patronising that I couldn't help but laugh. And then he tries to get the rooster to give him the power to locate the Ladybug and Cat Miraculouses, but he gets told that's a wish, not a power. And then he tries to get the power to see through their masks and uncover their identity, but he's told that this doesn't work either. Oh man, this would be getting so frustrating if it was me. I'd be so angry, and I get why he's pissed. But I did appreciate the writers actually bothering to close off a couple of potential loopholes before the series really kicks into gear, just to explain a few things. This, and the time travel episode going up first, really shows that I think a fair bit more effort's being put into building the story and making things make sense, and helping it flow well from one episode to the next. He then yells at the rooster, and gets shamed as a bully by the Kwamis. He's taken L's left and right today, Gabe, Jesus. Regardless, he tries again, and this time orders the Kwamis to tell him outright who the Guardian is. And he receives the answer, Ladybug, of course. And so he then orders them to reveal her identity, which of course, they can't say, as she's apparently still their holder, as she never renounced them? Not sure I get this. So she's their holder. So how can he even give them orders in the first place or use them at all? To me, this isn't really that well explained. And why the hell is Nuru even speaking? She can't possibly be Nuru's holder. They've never even met. She's never gotten her hands on the Butterfly Miraculous before. What is this? I figured that the way things work was that the holder is whoever, holds the Miraculous at that point in time, whilst the Guardian is something completely different, the person who holds the box. Not really sure I agree with his interpretation by the writers, but anyway, Gabe then decides that he'll ask them to take him to where Ladybug lives. So he bullies the cute little goat Kwami, and they tell him to follow the smell of croissants. And that's got to be the vaguest clue of all time. Especially in Paris of all places. They legit with this thing? How could he possibly have ever understood this clue? A quick, pretty basic Google search suggests that Paris has 30,000 plus bakeries. And that does not include people who bake that kind of stuff at home, or have catering services that don't have a storefront, or restaurants, or anything of that sort. So, good luck, mate. I mean, how many times do you think he had to use the Snake Miraculous because he burst into some random bakery and clearly made a mistake as they knew nothing about Ladybug? This is canon to me now. I mean, maybe they do actually tell him which bakery it is off screen, but it's more fun imagining this. that he tried over and over and over and had to keep reversing time. And then we cut to the bakery in question, where Marinette's dad Tom is acting like a Giga Chad, baking croissants in defiance of Monarch after all. Can't get akumatized if you're so happy with your tasty treat, can ya? Plus, I'm pretty sure bakers do make a lot of stuff the night before, right? That's a thing, right? So why is his wife even questioning this? Doesn't make much sense to me. And honestly, I feel like this scene added nothing to the story or the episode, if I'm being honest, except perhaps to remind people that have somehow forgotten that Marinette indeed lives above her family bakery. And I guess it's also completely and utterly wholesome, and shows there's at least some happy families in the show, but still. We then return to Marinette's room, where she's still brooding, only for Monarch to appear in her bedroom. And why? Why, you dirty old man? Sneaking into a teenager's bedroom? Be ashamed, mate. Like, why didn't he walk in through the front door? What a freak. What if she was getting changed? Ugh, call the cops. Also, how would he even know which room to teleport into? Ugh. But anyway, the Kwamis tell him he needs to ask for a gift from Ladybug to Marinette. And so she hands over a key with a little Ladybug charm attached. The Kwamis then tell him that this is a scavenger hunt. And honestly, I know later on they say it's not, but this is lying. This is lying. He asks them to directly tell him where Ladybug lives. Shouldn't that force them to say she lives in this bakery? And then he has to figure out who it is? I mean, even if they don't know the exact address, if he repeats it now, where does Ladybug live? Wouldn't they have to say she lives here? Because this scavenger hunt leads him into a trap. It doesn't actually have an address. Just half-wit on the piece of paper. What's going on here, Kwamis? Alia then makes her way into the room with refreshments and drops them out of shock. And this kind of thing has never happened to me before. Not that I regularly find supervillains hanging out in my bedroom or anything like that, but I've never dropped fragile objects out of shock. Is this a real thing that happens to people that I'm just not aware of, or is it one of those classic TV tropes that's just never going to die and no one acknowledges it? But anyway, since he figures that Alia probably knows who Ladybug is, he decides to threaten her. But then inexplicably drops this line of questioning after she starts filming him and says, "I don't know who she is." Seriously? Kidnap her at the very least, man. How could he possibly believe she's telling the truth here? "Do you know who Ladybug is?" "No." Oh, shit, sorry. I thought you did. Guess I'll leave." What a clown. Anyway, he breaks the charm and he finds a number inside. A number for a locker at the ice rink according to the Kwamis. Also, let's just have a brief moment to appreciate the monkey Kwami again. Little fella just oozes sass. But then we teleport to the ice rink, where it turns out there's yet another clue in the locker, with a picture of the wax sculptures in the museum suggesting that this is the location of the next clue. And so, after getting forced into a selfie with the ice rink guy, Monarch is off once again to the wax museum, where he notices that the Cat Noir sculpture has a hidden clue inside his bell. A clue that reads, half-wit. And then it suddenly turns out the wax figure is not a wax figure at all, go figure. And Cat Noir grabs him, gets their arms tied together with Ladybug's yo-yo, activates his cataclysm to use as a threat, and Ladybug ties him up with a whip lucky charm. Whew, talk about getting bamboozled. A bit unlucky for him, all things considered, that there'd be a trap like this set up just in case he got all the miraculouses. But oh well, that's just what you gotta deal with, Gabe. But yeah, instead of doing the smart thing and, kicking his head in immediately or some good old-fashioned ground and pound whilst she snatches the miraculouses away, Ladybug and Cat Noir decide to taunt him for a while, and then, he just lets himself get cataclysmed and then uses his miraculouses to escape. Very, very slowly. Through a portal on the floor. Are you telling me that he couldn't get followed or pulled back? It was open for ages. Honestly, massively weak from Ladybug here. At least with Cat Noir, I can accept him being in super shock that he might have just killed somebody. But Ladybug, come on. That portal was open for ages. The dog even had time to resist getting pulled in. And now, since she also lost her lucky charm, she can't even reverse the damage done to Monarch. Fail. And speaking of which, I think it's time to cut off your arm, mate. And then we flash forward back to Marinette's bedroom, where she's telling Alia about the plan and how she failed hard, explaining how they put it all together. And honestly, I kind of found the whole Kwami thing very, very borderline in terms of writing. If you ask me, it very much feels like they were lying. And honestly, it is very cheap. But I think that's okay, because the rest of the episode was mostly solid, so I can deal with this. And honestly though, it was a good plan from a meta point of view. But poor Gabe literally gets screwed over at every turn these days, I tell you what. His characters become so much smarter, but it's just so brutal that their plans keep destroying him so embarrassingly. Because even now, when he has good ideas, he just can't escape. It's just time to give up, mate. It ain't happening. And so we finish off with Gabe making his special rings that we saw during episode 2, so this episode bridges that gap, which was fun to see. Also, yeah, Gabe's arm is looking really nasty. Get that shit cut off before it spreads and becomes incurable, dude. What are you doing? I guarantee this guy's rich enough to make a robotic arm. Because look, he's managed to figure out how to reshape Miraculouses, reshape magic devices with his science. But he can't make a robo-arm? Weak. And he's also invented Kwame-proof glass. He sealed them off in little jars which power his rings. And now he can send the powers of those rings to the lesser rings that he now sells. And so honestly, whilst his plan did fail this time, you can't really call him a smooth brain based on all of this. But rest assured, he'll earn back his crown, as is tradition. Just give it some time. Also, his new costume looks like trash. Let's be real, let's not beat around the bush here. That new Hawkmothy costume looks like dog shit. And it's based on one thing. I just hate that his ears aren't in the helmet. They just stick out. Like, it looks so weird. I mean, otherwise it looks completely fine. But those damn ears will bother me forever. But at least it isn't the dog shit Monarch costume. Woo-hoo! Throw that one in the bin, thanks. And so yeah, that's where we finish up the episode. A very good showing today. Yet another banger episode for Season 5. So I'm really optimistic about how this season's going to play out at this stage of the game. I mean, yeah, there's always the chance for things to go to shit. After all, with over 20 episodes, you have a lot of chances to drop the ball completely and utterly. But I think I'm quite hopeful that this is all going to turn out just fine. And so, with all that being said, I'll just remind you that these were only my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What did you think of the episode? You like it, hate it, somewhere in between? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.